So, Josie, we recently saw you sing at in person at your CD release party for You Must Believe in Spring. Who or what inspired you to sing?
I think I was kind of born with that inspiration. It was something that was inside of me and just came out kind of naturally. And in also, in addition to that, many members of my immediate family sang or played piano, and I was surrounded by music quite a lot as a little baby. Um, and so it was something natural, and it followed logically that I would also take part in all of this music that I was surrounded with.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's probably what happened.
So, so did your mom sing, and are your two voices kind of similar?
My mom did sing. She was not a professional singer, but she had a natural gift for singing. She had a voice similar to mine. It was kind of high and reedy, and she loved opera. So every now and
Mhm.
then she would sing, burst into an aria from some particular opera. And I understand my older sister, who was born in Italy and came here when she was 9, and I wasn't born till I was until she was until 5 years later.
Mm.
The point I'm making that the reason I'm saying that is because when she, upon coming to this country, they discovered she had this amazing singing voice and actually put her on programs to sing on the radio programs. And she developed quite a name for herself as a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 10 or so singing. And they used to call her, mostly in Italian programs, she sang because that's where our family originated from. And they would call her the little girl with the big voice. So, and she was also, so on a very, very close level, I was surrounded by music. So now I lost track of the question. Was that the question?
Um, I
Yeah,
think I was asking if your voice resembled your mom's voice. So,
it was, yes.
mhm.
And it was. And my sister at the time had probably a deeper voice than I did. She may have been what you would call an alto. And
Mm.
I'm definitely in the soprano range.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we were similar.
So, did you ever train to sing opera?
Oh, yes. And as a little girl, and an adolescent before I was even maybe 5 years old, or maybe at the time I was 5, I remember my mom taking me to see filmed versions of the opera because, of course, they could not afford tickets to see the live versions, but they had filmed versions at the time in theaters, and she'd take me with her. And so I was exposed to many operas as a very, very young child, and that music affected me in its beauty and in its drama. And of course, having that gift inside of me, it just flowered. So I was familiar with many of the operas at a very young age as a result.
Was that in Italy or was that in the US?
That was here because I was born here, but all of my other family, my mom, my dad, and my sister were born in Italy.
Oh.
So I
Mhm.
wasn't born until a few years after they arrived here in America.
And was that the Chicago opera scene or was
It
it
was
New?
Chicago, yes.
It
We
was.
settled in Chicago, yes. And
Mhm.
so every now and then I would join my mother in singing these little operatic things because I was familiar with them, and it was something that came naturally, I guess.
Well, if it were nowadays, you and your sister would be going on America's Got Talent or American Idol.
Yeah, that's a definite possibility. It would have been. She passed away about 4 years ago now, but we sang together a lot, and she was always encouraging and always very, very supportive, of my singing and was thrilled. We used to sing together a lot. And she loved that I loved to do harmony and was amazed that I could hear harmonic parts at such a young age. But so we had lots of fun.
Did
Good
you,
day, good memories.
yes, did you start training at a very young age? And did you train with your sister?
I did not train with my sister. First of all, her training, I think it was not very good training. And I think they gave her some bad training because she lost her voice. It was when she was a teen, at some point as a teenager. I started, I don't know if you would call it training. When I was in high school, the nuns discovered that I had this talent and utilized it a lot and wanted me to take lessons. However, it was cost prohibitive. So what they did was they gave me a scholarship for 4 years in high school for voice training, and that was the most that I had had, and it was the beginning of any training that I had was in high school. Other than that, it was catch as catch can. I did have a scholarship in college, but I never finished. So I only had 1 year of that. And from then on, the irony of the situation was that I began to sing and in clubs and stuff, and it prohibited me from from going to lessons. So it's kind of a catch-22, but so my formal training is sketchy at best, you know. So that's about all I can tell you about that. I had a couple of here and there, maybe some months where I would study with someone. One in particular was Ron Combs, who was the head of music department at Northeastern Illinois University. And I studied with him probably the most for about a year. Oh, I don't know. I might have been in my 40s at the time, and he was most helpful in lowering my range. I had always had a high range, but I wanted to get to the low notes, and Ron is the one who helped me develop the technique to be able to reach the low notes. So effectively, he enlarged my range from bottom to top. So that's the extent of my formal training, in quotes, because it was never really that much, a little bit here and there.
When you were in high school, did you perform with the chorus, or was it more of like solos? And when did you learn uh, the breathing technique?
Well, I did. It was the Glee Club that I had heard before I even went to high school. I went to this particular high school, which was St. Mary's in Chicago. When I heard the Glee Club, I just loved singing and loved the sound and wanted to be a part of that choral group. And of course, when I got to the high school, I was accepted into the choral group, and from then on, it led to solos. So I actually did both. I loved singing in the choral group, and whenever solo parts became available, um, I was chosen to do solo parts, and that was always a delight. So I enjoyed singing both with the choral group and singing solo.
Did you ever have stage fright, or were you just love singing so much that you just went and did it?
Oh, I had stage fright. All right. It didn't prevent me from functioning or prevent me from singing. But yes, I had butterflies. And of course, you know what all singers feel. Well, am I going to be good enough? And am I going to flub the notes? Are people going to like me? And all of the above. But once I started singing, and the same holds true to this day, once I start singing, I forget about me. I'm not self-conscious anymore, and I'm into the music and what the lyrics are saying, or what the whole tone of the music is, and it just floats me away from any concerns about me personally, and that's what happens. So yes, butterflies, yes, but little by little they fly away when I sing.
In other words, you step into the world of the song.
Absolutely, I certainly do. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So when you were in the Glee Club, did they teach you the breath? Because when I was at the Glee Club too, I don't think I learned that until I was in college. Breathing.
Did you say like breath control?
Yeah,
Is that?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, from the diagram.
Yes. There, the head of the Glee Club there was in, uh, gave us instruction, and of course, since I was already taking lessons with the voice teacher at the high school, who gave me 4 years of scholarship there, breathing control was always it was always brought to the forefront. It was important, to be able to control your breathing and where to breathe from.
Mhm,
And those are lessons I learned early and have stood me in good stead to this
mhm,
day.
mhm.
Yes.
Do you still have to train your voice despite singing all the time?
Um, I don't sing all the time. I'm woefully bad at practicing, and I know I am, and I know it's important to do that. I think it's very important to keep your muscle, your voice, your vocal apparatus in shape. And
Mhm,
although I do practice whenever I remember, I am not by any means consistent with it. And these days, because of pandemic, and there weren't many places where you can sing, and I'm not one of those who sings in the shower. It's probably one of the only place I don't sing. But I wasn't doing much singing. But however, to answer your question, I do practice, but not nearly what I should. And I'm that girl, for for not doing it, because it is important. I can't stress that enough. It really is important to keep your voice supple, and to keep your technique, which is something right now is just automatic. I mean, at the time I was learning it, I tried to follow the instructions
mhm,
of how to sing and how to preserve your voice.
mhm.
But it's something that I feel is important. And here I am, telling you I don't do it like I should. But there you have it. Okay, that's the deal.
It's very intriguing that you said that you trained with Ron Combs. So how did that come to be?
Um, well, it seems like at the time I was singing radio and TV commercials
Mhm,
just about exclusively. I was doing that. I actually did that for about 25 to 30 years, maybe in Chicago.
mhm,
And at the time, it was a thriving industry. There was a lot of work, and a small group of us are the ones who did most of the singing, whether in groups of 3 to 5 or 8 or solos. So there was a small little group of us who did that work. And I remember one of the people in there recommending Ron. Because I had said I'd like to take some lessons. I'd like to get things going, and see what else I can do to improve my singing and my voice. So he came highly recommended, and that's how I found out about Ron. So I went to him, and luckily his schedule and mine were coinciding, so that I was able to be fairly consistent in studying with Ron, and he did a wonderful job for me. He really helped me in the areas I needed help.
because WZRD is at Northeastern, so
I
that's so
know.
yeah.
I know. And yes, I'm thrilled about that too.
Did you take a class with him, or did you just was he just your coach?
I'm sorry, did I what?
Did
I
you
took
take a
less?
class with him, or
Oh,
was he just coaching you?
he was just my a coach. I
Uh-huh.
just made well, every week, once a week, I would have a lesson with
Hmm.
him, or once every 2 weeks or something like that. I can't remember
Oh.
exactly our schedule, but it
Mhm.
was fairly consistent. And yeah, I would have a lesson with him, and I'd go home and practice what he said I needed to work on, and that was it.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah,
and you learned a lot from
I
the
did.
expanded arrangement. Yes.
Oh yes, he was wonderfully helpful in the areas that I wanted to improve upon. He was brilliant. He and his assist at the other part of the teaching group, Dan. I can't think of his last name now. Darn it! And They've always been there for me. I remember at one point, I don't know how many years ago it was, I was having some sort of problem with my voice, and I was afraid that maybe I had nodes. And although the doctor I'd seen said, no, your vocal cords are clear and blah, blah, blah. So I was okay, well, got rid of this. So I called Ron and I said, Ron, this is what's happening. And he and Dan double teamed me and they solved the problem, bless their hearts. And so I can't say enough about them, because it helped me at a time when I needed expert help.
Let's
So
pick your brain just a little bit. What was the most important lesson that you learned from him? Was it concerning this, or could you give us shed a little light on that?
the most important lesson I learned from them,
Yes.
well, it was mostly paying more attention to the direction he had originally given to me, and maybe there might have been some psychosomatic portion to this too, because I was so worried about it that it may have hindered me getting over whatever this problem was, even though it wasn't physical. So I think the most important thing that I learned from them was to relax a little more and keep better, but pay better attention to what I was doing that was causing this constriction that I felt at the time. So I think that was the most important lesson I learned from them, just to relax a little and let what my voice could do happen naturally instead of trying to push it somewhere where it just didn't want to go yet.
So yes, because we read all the time, when a person is tense, then the throat tightens. So evidently, there was something that was going on, and that made your that affected your voice, and then affected your throat and your voice. But there wasn't anything wrong with you.
Right, exactly. You put it in exactly the right words. I don't know where the tension emanated from. It might have been just because I was worried about what was going on with my voice, and not really realize, well, if it's not physical, so it came from some other place, which I still don't know from where. However, they helped me just zoom in on relaxing a little bit and doing some extra exercises, excuse me, that they had given me, and I focused on those and did them religiously.
Do you still do them?
I do, yes, I do. When I learn something, boy, I learn it. It's just that I don't do it often enough, then I get caught up in other things, but yes.
Very understandable. When did you start doing commercials, and did singing publicly precede or follow the voiceover parts?
I sang publicly first, and as it happens, I was working now and then in clubs with various musicians. Let's see now, how did this all come about? Oh, I had my own little group, and I was working in a club with a performer by the name of Gary Loizo, who was the head singer of the American Breed, who had had several huge hits. One of them, the most famous of them, was Bend Me, Shape Me. Bend me, shape me any way you want me. You're probably too young to remember that, but it was a very, very big hit for them. And he was working with me at the time. The group had broken up and he was looking for work. So to get to the point, when he was telling me he was doing some jingles. He said, Josie, this would be great for you. You have the perfect voice for this. And so I said, well, I think it's cliquish, and I don't know how to sight read, and well, I put obstacles in front of myself, And he said, listen, you do this, make a little jingle, make a demo, which I had no jingles to put on the demo, make a demo, send it to so-and-so. He gave me a list of producers in Chicago who were doing that work, and then call them, and hopefully they will have listened to it. And then maybe they'll call you, go into the studio, and they'll see how you work. So that's exactly what I did. I did 4 little excerpts of songs that I thought showcased the versatility in my voice. and sent it to the list of producers that he had given me. And lo and behold, I got 2 calls from them. I didn't call anybody yet, but they called me. So I just went and prayed that whatever music they gave me, I could hear. I have a very good ear. That I would immediately memorize, learn the melody, and I wouldn't have to read the music.
Mhm.
So I was luckily that happened the first few times. Then I realized this is something I need to learn. This is a skill I need to learn, to sight read.
Mhm.
And I had a few lessons with a couple of private lessons with another. I wonder if he was from Northeastern University also. I can't think of his name. Vince Odo. Was he on the staff there at the University of?
I'm not too sure, but his name kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah. So I had some private lessons with him. And of course, when I went to another university, a smaller one in Illinois, close by, a local one, and signed up for a sight reading class. But of course, I got so busy singing, I missed all the classes, at least 9 out of 10. So I mostly did it on my own, just kept reading and getting books that you would recognize intervals and and syncopation and rhythm patterns, all of the above that I would have learned in a class. I kind of did it on my own.
Oh,
So, Trudy, did I get off
that's
the
good.
track?
It's very interesting what you're telling us because I know how important it is to sight read it. I know how hard it is to learn it. So
It is. It wasn't. But after a while, it became like reading names in a book. I'm not in the same class as some of those wonderful, top-notch jingle singers like Bonnie Herman and Bob Belker and Don Shelton, and those people could sight read like, zippity doodah. It takes me a little while longer, but I am much improved.
and so the pay was that better for doing voiceovers than singing on the stage or how it was very was it a profitable
Yes.
career? Very.
It was most profitable. I'm very, very grateful that I had that opportunity. Thank God. It was, I don't know what else I could have done. I'm a terrible typist. So it's a good thing that I had something that I could turn into a viable living, a viable instrument, viable work.
Mhm.
But now I forgot what you asked me initially.
Well, I did want to ask you about
About
royalties.
voiceovers. You mentioned
Yes.
I never did very much of that. It wasn't until the end of the industry kind of slowing down in Chicago, the singing part of the end of that I decided, well, let me try voiceovers. Let's see what I could do about that. I did a few, but that was also a part of the industry that I really wasn't all that familiar with, and I really didn't try hard enough. I sent out some demos and such, but I think because of the fact that they knew who I was as a singer, that helped me get the jobs that I did. But I never did very, very much of voiceovers. Very, very few. Most of my work, 99%, was singing.
Mm-hmm. And you said also the commercials. That's the jingles. Those were commercials, right?
It was for commercials, yes. It was for products and just speaking, which that was it. Yeah.
And you get the royalties every time that the commercial is played, right? Do you is that how it works?
Oh, there was a scale, and there was a definite graph of payment, depending on the type of spot it was. If it was a national spot that went across the whole country, TV and radio, that of course was the best paying one. Those were the ones we all were grateful for and hoped for. Then there were regional spots that were played in a certain area, whether it was there were certain areas. The region was composed of several states, maybe, and there was a payment scale for that. But yes, you would get paid for a certain number of plays for a regional. But if it was a national spot, you would get paid a royalty every time it was played. So that's how that worked.
Let's get back to your singing. How old were you when you first stepped onto the stage?
Well, I might have been about 20, I think, 21. It's a long time ago. And I think that's how old I was when I first sang on the stage as a performer. But I had been singing before that, in high school and various family events, and my mom told me I was singing when I was 19 months old. That I was hearing whatever I heard, I would just sing all along with her, with the radio, with my sister. I would just join right in. So I've been singing a long time. Yeah, but that was the first time. I think I was in my 20s, early 21, maybe 20, something like that.
So was it a gig or was it something at school?
No, it was of course, in high school, yes, I stepped on stage to perform, but it was not a paying gig. My paying gig was at 20 or 21, as I said at that point. Yeah, that was then. Yes, it was about that time.
But what was your most memorable gig?
There are quite a few. It's hard to zoom in on one in particular. Well, most recently, the Jazz Showcase gig, because I was so excited about being on that stage where so many wonderful jazz artists performed, and then the actual club itself is beautiful, and all those wonderful iconic pictures of all these, jazz gods, so to speak. And it was a wonderful turnout, and we had a great time. I felt I was in good voice. That's a wonderful memory for me. That's one of the most memorable ones. There is one other though that I might tell you about, and that was a long time ago when I was in high school. They had there was an all Catholic school throughout the entire Chicago area, and maybe larger than that. I'm having a hard time remembering, where soloists were asked to sing, and they went before judges, and a winner was chosen. And the winner was chosen to sing at the Opera House in Chicago here, the Lyric Opera House. And you got to do your solo. And I remember walking out on that wonderful, wonderful opera stage and looking out. It was jammed, packed with, I don't know how many, the whole place was filled. And I sang my solo that they had won me the prize. And that to this day still gives me a little bit of a chill. So that's a memorable.
What was the song?
It was a classical piece. It was called A Spirit Flower. And it was a modern piece. It had kind of leaps, and it wasn't at all melodic like an Italian opera aria would be. It was just the opposite. And it was something different for me to do, but whatever I did must have been right, because there I was. And yes, that stands out in my memory too. Yeah.
What was the most difficult episode in your career, and how did you overcome that?
That's hard for me to say. I don't know if this sounds Pollyanna-ish or not, but I can only tell you truly that there really wasn't any crisis like that. I've had, where's wood? I'm knocking on wood here. A pretty substantial ride. Things kind of fell in place. Not that I didn't work hard for them, because I did. And I made some sacrifices, yes. but that's what it takes, and I was okay with that. But as far as crises or anything that, there really wasn't any. None that I can really truthfully say. No.
Mhm.
That's my answer.
This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us Josie Falbo, vocalist and very versatile performing artist. Let's put it that way. So, does your most memorable achievement also coincide with your most memorable gig, or are they separate?
Uh, uh, I'm sorry, what was the second half of the question? My most
Your
memorable achievement?
yes, is that the same as your most memorable gig, or are they two separate things for you?
Oh, okay. Let me I have to think about that. Well, there's some achievements that had nothing to do with music. I don't know if you're interested in that or not, but
Sure, go
I'm
ahead.
very proud of my two sons. And I say that in all sincerity, I'm very proud that I feel I've done a good job with them. And, I might as well pat myself on the back, right? But they are two stalwart men, and I'm proud of them. And I'm proud of what I achieved in whatever part I played in their becoming who they are. So that's a very, very proud achievement for me.
Are your sons involved in music as well?
They are. Well, actually, one of them is. Uh, he is a DJ, and he has a website. Oh, he's going to kill me. I can't think of the name of the website now, because the Beat, I think it's called thebeat.com, and it's streamed music, and it's a wonderful website. He also dabbles in acting. He's had some parts on TV, little roles that he's done on TV. And he's definite, loves music, especially blues and R&B. He I mean, you could talk to him about that for hours. He's a veritable encyclopedia of music. And my other son was the one who sang, and he also had gotten a scholarship with Ron Combs at Northeastern,
Mhm.
um, and wanted very, very badly to sing roles like Rigoletto, Verdi, in other words, which are strong dramatic male roles, tenor roles. His voice was more like mine. It was more suited to Rossini, where it's light, mobile kind of singing. He wasn't happy about that. And he decided if he couldn't sing Verdi, he wasn't going to sing, which broke my heart. But it was his life, and he decided, although he does love music, he's very much into music, music of all kinds, but most especially classical and opera. So yes, they're involved in those ways in music.
And Northeastern, it is Northeastern Illinois University, right? Because there is a Northeastern, but it's somewhere else. So it
No,
is Northeastern Illinois.
Northeastern Illinois, yes.
Yes,
This in
NEIU.
Chicago, on St.
Mhm.
Louis, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right.
What do you enjoy most about singing?
Um, Everything. I enjoy being able to put my feelings into the melody, into the lyrics, and expressing myself through that, and hopefully expressing what the composer wanted to express in his music. Jazz, especially because of the spontaneity, and I like being able to put all the notes that I hear, other than just the melody, into the song, and personalizing it to a great extent, I guess. Um, and it it fills my soul. I don't know how else to put it. And I enjoy it so much. It's so much a part of me, and I don't know how else to describe that feeling, but it's like breathing
Mm.
for me.
Do, well, do you perform all around the country, or are you more concentrated in the Midwest?
I'm more concentrated here. I haven't performed professionally either on the East Coast or the West Coast. Hopefully, I'm hoping my CD will open those doors to jazz festivals. I really don't know because of what's going on with the pandemic, and venues and clubs are still not at full capacity, and they're not being peopled as much as they would be if those restrictions weren't there, or if people felt more comfortable in crowded situations. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get a chance to do that. We'll see. Time will tell. But that's about it. Yeah.
But you have been able to find constant work. Like you said, you were even like working, you were too busy working to actually go to school. A lot of times it's the other way around. People finish school and then they're looking for work, and you're the exact opposite.
That's right. Yeah, I really didn't look at it that way, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. So I'm not going to complain. Yes, and it worked out. That's probably why when you asked me that question about any crises, I was fortunate that it just kind of step after step, level after level, it just kind of happened. And there was never anything that I had to deal with on a crisis level. So I'm very grateful to be able to say.
Who did you have a mentor, and do you mentor anyone?
I probably have had a few mentors through my life, more than just one. One of them was, of course, the nun in high school who gave me 4 years of scholarships and cracked the whip in teaching me basic singing lessons. And my sister was another one who was always teaching me how various things that I would not have learned were it not for her. Ron Combs, definitely Ron, and a couple of people in the jingle industry who guided me and gave me very, very valuable information. One of them is Bob Bowker, who is the conductor of the choral group I sing with, the Lakeside Singers. I sang jingles with him for many, many years, and he enlightened me on many, many things in addition to recommending me for gigs. So I'd say that that constitutes being a mentor. And I don't know if you could call what I've done mentoring. I have always, people have asked me questions of how to get into jingles when that industry was available in Chicago. And I did. I helped as much as I could and told them, do this, do not do that. And here's a list of things you might consider. Here's a list of producers, people asking me about lessons, about singing lessons and what I do. And I never really considered myself qualified to teach voice or singing. I would just try to verbalize what it was that I did. And for more formal instruction, I would recommend Ron Combs and say, he'll tell you what to do. That he taught me is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing. So maybe that might constitute being a mentor. That's probably as close to a mentor as I've been. So
When you were working in the jingle industry, did you need a lawyer, or were you able to handle the business side by yourself?
no, I didn't. I did not have a lawyer per se. There was a company in Chicago that dealt with the jingle singers mostly, because we were kind of a rare breed, and tax organizations didn't quite know what to make of us and wanted to tax us to the nth degree, and threw all kinds of, kind of problems, kind of stones or obstacles in our path. So there was one company, and to this day, one of them, I don't know if they're still in existence, or maybe the head of that particular company, whose name escapes me right now, I'm sorry. But the other company is Schenker Velo, which I am still affiliated with and have guided me and protected me through all these years. And I have been so, and they are, there's lawyers involved in that, but I was never, on a one-on-one basis with a lawyer, mostly just with as part of the company. And that's as close to a lawyer, I guess, as I've been,
So
And
are they like an agency or are they like a
no,
trade
no,
organization?
they're financial planners, and
Oh.
yes, because I wouldn't know the first thing about doing that. And I was audited 3 times because of I went from making maybe a small pittance of money per year, and my financial situation increased greatly. And when that happens, you kind of pop up in their atmosphere, and they want to know why all of a sudden your income has changed so greatly. So, and in that particular instance, the company, Schenker Velo, were invaluable in helping me guide through all of that rigmarole. And it was rigmarole.
Mhm. Who recommended you to them?
Bob Bowker, whom I said was a jingle singer with me, and now has been the conductor of Lakeside Singers for many, many years.
Mhm.
Um, his brother opened this fledgling company way back in, when was it, 1970s, I guess, 78, 77, something like that. And that was his company, and I decided that I was going to be a part of their company, and they were going to be my guidance, my guides through all of this, which was so mysterious and so unknown to me, and I am grateful to them for all the guidance they did give me. But he passed away at a very young age, and passed the reins on to what is now the company that I have dealt with for many, many years. So it was Bob's brother, his younger brother, who started all of that.
What are some of your upcoming gigs?
Oh boy. Yeah, there are none as of yet. I wish there were, but as of now, I don't have. Maybe someone who's listening wants me to sing at an event or something, but no, I have nothing booked yet. Nothing. But I will certainly put it on Facebook and let you guys know. That's for sure.
Is there a song in your repertoire that is your favorite?
Um. Oh my, that's very hard to choose. Oh, good grief. Of course, you must believe in spring is going to be on that list. There are a couple of obscure tunes that I absolutely love. One of them is "Spring Can Really Hang You Up the Most."
Mhm.
Um, oh my gosh, I could give you a list this long, of songs I love. Oh, there's an Italian one that I love, written by Ennio Morricone, who wrote the scores to many Italian films, and the
Mhm.
song is called Nella Fantasia, which means in my dreams, and the lyrics are very, very beautiful in Italian and in
Mhm.
English. So it's a beautiful melody. So,
Could you could you give us a few bars of that song? And I'm intrigued
okay,
now.
okay. Nella fantasia esiste un mondo caldo che soffia sulla città come un amico. Il sogno d'anima che sono sempre libere come la nuvola che That's it. I hope I didn't blow out the microphone, did I?
No, so beautiful. I have the board, so I could control the board to make sure
Okay.
that the sound levels are good. Oh,
Oh,
that was so beautiful. Thank you, Josie.
you're welcome.
Well, now let's do a WZRD community assessment with you.
Okay.
WZRD Chicago, being a nonprofit radio station, student run, must be responsible to the community we serve. WZRD is mandated to file quarterly issues with the FCC on non-entertainment community-focused programming. But we like to assess the community, such as you, for these quarterly issue topics with 3 questions. First, what is most important to you?
Oh, that's easy. My family,
Mhm.
my family, my children, my grandkids. Those are the pillars of my life, and they are the most important to me. That's a very easy question,
Mhm.
easily answered.
Second question is, what long-term problem must we address?
Oh gosh, there is there are quite a few. I'm sorry to say. Lately, of course, getting control of the pandemic and hopefully eradicating it. And I don't know what it's going to take. I'm not well versed enough in medicine to give any kind of informed view on it. I just know that this is something that we can't let go of, and research has to continue on the part of everybody, not just researchers, but people, to research and know what it is that we're dealing with and how, and learn the science of it and take precautions that are that are that are told, that are what's the word I'm looking for, advocated.
Mhm.
Um, so that needs to be addressed uh, for sure.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Josie. And finally, what is the problem that we need to address now?
Yeah, well, in addition to this horrible disease we're dealing with and trying to get a hold of it in different ways and eradicate it, there's also, I think, of course, with the uptick in crime and it happening more than ever is very worrisome and concerns me for my family. Very, very worried about that, especially when it doesn't seem to dwindle at all. In fact, I see it expanding, and in some instances, feels like people are running amok, and no parameters on behavior, no parameters on how to deal with it, and nobody seems to know how to grab a hold of this problem and stop it from hurting innocent people, and that worries me a lot. And I don't know what else can be done. I mean, on my part, obviously, this is something that our leaders have to um, find ways to deal with. I just don't see any results yet. I don't know that I will anytime soon.
Mhm.
I don't know if that answered your question or
It
not.
does. It does very much so, Josie. Yeah, actually, no one answered these 3 questions the way that you did. So thank you so much for that.
You're very
Mhm.
welcome.
Okay, so this is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And thank you so much, Josie Falbo, jazz vocalist and singer, just an all around vocal talent. Thank you so much for joining us today, Josie.
Thank you, and my supreme great gratitude to WCRD for all your support. I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
You're welcome. And now we are going to play a couple of Josie's song from her album, You Must Believe in Spring.